Hello my dear viewer, my name is Makumba Gerard of Eduma. In this video, we are going to find the variance and the standard deviation, but when you are given the assumed mean for that type of data. Now, to you my dear viewer who is new, please consider subscribing and hitting that notification bell. For now, let's jump into it. Now, when you are given the assumed mean or the working mean, finding the variance is just very easy. Just like the way we saw it in the previous video, we shall have summation fd squared all over summation f minus, here's a big bracket, summation fd all over summation f, where d is the deviation, and we can find it as x minus capital A, where x is the mean value of the class. We've seen that A is the assumed mean. The standard deviation is just the square root of the variance. We can start with a guiding example here. The table below shows the weights of a sample of 33 patients at a particular health center, recorded with a working mean of 77. Then they need us to use the table above to find the variance and the standard deviation. So for this case, the variance will be summation fd squared all over summation f minus summation fd divided by summation f, and the whole of this term being squared. Alright, so our task is going to be, going ahead to find the values of the deviation. So our table will have new columns which are x, then after x we shall go ahead compute d, we shall have fd and then fd squared. Those are the new columns that we are going to include in our table. So let's first put this data, weights and the frequency in the table, and we also go ahead to include these headings and we shall see how we get there. So we shall have here the weight, we shall have the frequency, which is the number of patients, we shall go ahead to have x, we shall have d, we shall have fd, and then fd squared. So let's transfer the columns of weight and frequency here in the table. We shall need summation f, so summation f is 33 here. Then we need to go ahead and get, x, which x will help us to get d, because the deviation is equal to x minus the assumed mean, and our assumed mean here is equal to 77. So we shall be substituting in here to get that. But first let's get x. X is the average of the two class limits of a class. 60 plus 64, then divide by 2. So here we shall have to get 62. We do the same for these classes here. 65 plus 69, divided by 2. We get here 67, and so on. Okay? So after getting x, we can now go ahead to find d. d is equal to x, and the values of x are here. They are varying for different classes. Then the value of a is the same for all the classes. So we start for the first class, 62 minus 77, there we get negative 15. 67 minus 77, we get here negative 10. 72 minus 77, negative 5. 77 minus 77, get here 0. 82 minus 77, get here positive 5. Then finally we have 87 minus 77, giving us a 10 here. Right? So the next thing, we're going to get fd. Just getting f times d. So 2 times negative 15, get here negative 30. 4 times negative 10, get here negative 40. Negative 5 times positive 5, get here negative 25. Then 0 times 10, get here is 0. Okay. Then 5 times 8, we get here a 40. 10 times 4, we get a 40. We shall need summation fd. So up, we are going to get negative 15. Okay, we are left with one column, that is the column of fd squared. Again and again here we are going to use algebra. Fd squared is equal to d times fd. Alright, these are the two columns which I'm looking at here, the columns of d and fd. So when we multiply these two columns together, we shall be getting fd squared. So we go negative 15 times negative 30, get a positive 450. Okay, negative 10 times negative 40, we get positive 400. Negative 5 times negative 25, we get positive 125. 0 by 0, we get a 0. 5 times 40, we get 200 here. And then finally, 10 times 40, we get 400. Also, we shall be required to get summation fd squared. And this here will be fitting in this position here. So we need to go ahead and sum up all these values here. Okay, so when we add them, we shall have to get 1575. Okay, so that is our table, which is complete. Next, we now need to use our formula here, this here, to find the variance. And after finding the variance, we can proceed by getting the square root to get the standard deviation. So this substituting for variance is equal to, we have summation fd squared, which is here, and that is 1575, divided by summation f, which is 33, minus summation fd is negative 15, divided by summation f, which is 33 here. Then we need to square this. Now, with our calculators, when we compute this, we are going to get a value which is 47.5207 for decimal places. Okay, so that's our variance from our calculator right away. Then we need to complete by finding the standard deviation is equal to the square root of the variance. But our variance is now 47.5207. Standard deviation, still from our calculator directly, we get 6.8935, and this is still to 4 decimal places. So my dear viewer, we've come to the end of solving this question here, and at this moment I would like to leave you with one question that you're also going to try out. It is of the same nature. The table below shows the heights of plants in the garden recorded with assumed mean of 4.45. So that is our assumed mean. The table is there. Use the table above to find the variance and standard deviation. Alright, so now you can pause the video and have this question written down. For now, from us EduMath, we are happy always to see you, and we wish you all the best. See you in the next video.